Now, people living in Folkestone go to the polls today to vote on whether they agree with new parking charges. The local council wants to overhaul parking in the town, and the new strategy includes controversial moves to introduce on-street parking meters and residents' parking permits at £25 a throw. Votes are being held today in 3 wards: Folkestone, Hythe and Sandgate.
But the way one of the referendum questions has been written has been described as gobbledygook. We put it to the test to see if voters on the streets of Folkestone could understand what they're actually being asked to vote on.
It's just a gobbledygook in some respects, really. They should just spit out what's going to happen and what needs to be done.
Can you tell from that question what they're proposing?
No, not really.
What do you think of the second question, the way it's phrased? Do you understand it?
Not really, no.
What they're proposing is that residents get 1 hour free parking per household.
I think it's residents' permits are free and anyone else gets the first hour free.
Oh, let's read it again then.
Could you have a guess at what you think it means?
I guess. Well,
You're having to read it twice, aren't you?
yes, I am. No, I've no idea what it means.
What do you understand will be the rules if this goes
The
through?
rules that there's just 1 parking space per resident in Folkestone.
It's worse than gobbledygook. To me, it's not even literate.
Yes, I had to read it a few times to understand it. Let me read it to you now, see what you think. This is the second question. Do you agree that if the proposed Shepway District Council parking strategy is imposed on the residents of Folkestone, that as a minimum, Shepway District Council make available 1 free parking permit per resident and the first hour of a motorist parking session at any on-street pay and display spaces is free? That's what it says. There's no comments in it, so I'll put some in there for you. Marie-Claire from the Plain English campaign says it's definitely not plain enough.
Why do they do this? Why do they ask people's opinions and then lead them round and round the houses? You know, it's like trying to find a parking space. There's so many different interpretations that you're not going to get a proper answer, and that's unfair because people have the right to clear information if they're going to contribute.
Well, joining us now from our radio car are 2 men who've been responsible for bringing about these polls. They are Peter Wallace from Sandgate, the Secretary of Folkestone Labour Party, and Tim Prater, the Lib Dem Councillor for Folkestone West and Sandgate Parish Councillor, who proposed one of the questions on the Sandgate referendum. Tim, we'll come to you in just a moment or so, but Peter Wallace, first of all, why did you want these referenda at a cost of £26,000, we think, to the taxpayer?
Oh, but the cost of £26,000 isn't a lot when you compare it to the £75,000 that the council is going to spend on the consultation. And with the council's consultation, it's only going to last about 2 weeks. They won't tell us when it's going to start, when it's going to end, what questions are going to ask, what results it will have, and what impact that will have on the actual parking strategy. And that's going to be £75,000. The referendum is a very clear question that we've been campaigning on for a month that says, do you want Shepway District Council to bring in these parking charges? Yes or no? It's very clear. We'll be able to tell what the turnout is, what impact that will have on people, and it only costs about £28,000, which is less than half of the cost that the district council is going to spend. So they can't really accuse us of spending and wasting money when they're going to spend twice as much, and they won't even tell people what the question is.
But it's not going to replace that, though, is it? It's going to be, that's an additional cost, isn't it?
It's an additional cost, but we have asked the council not to go ahead with the consultation and save that £75,000, and they've actually said that they won't do that, even though that's going out for a private tender. We don't know who the private company is. We don't know what the ground rules were for giving out that consultation. But someone's profited £75,000 out of our money here, the taxpayers' money, and we won't even be told what impact that will have, whether they'll take that into consideration. They're not going to ask any businesses in Shepway what impact it will have on their business. And our local town manager has done a survey of all the businesses in the town centre, and 97% of the businesses say it will affect their business and they don't want it to happen. Now, that's not been taken into consideration as far as I know it. Our petition with 2,000 signatures, that's got 97% of the people are against it. So far, that's not been taken into consideration as far as I know it. Same with the referendum, probably the same with the consultation. It's all one massive waste of money by the council to try and impose these pay and display meters, and it's going to cost this town a lot of money. So we're asking people to come out today between 4 and 9 if you live in Folkestone, Hythe or Sandgate, and that way you can actually have your say, and we can record the result and we record what people say and get a pretty good gauge of public feeling.
So you're absolutely adamant the town doesn't need these changes at all?
Oh, not at all. They're saying it's about congestion, but I have not met one person that said it's about congestion. People believe it's a way to privatise the services. They've already privatised the traffic wardens. They've put in the consultation that they want to privatise the clamping service so they can do at their discretion clamping cars. else. They want to sell off some of the car parks. It's all in the proposal, hidden at the very end of a 35-page document, and it's all hidden in one line that they want to privatise things. It's really a move towards privatisation, and they think they'll make somewhere between £2 and £4 million a year from this. Not one of that will go into businesses, not one of that will help the local resident. And in Sandgate, where we're going to have a poll today, 25% of the shops are empty since they took away a car park there 4 years ago.
Peter, I'm going to have to interrupt you because we've got to get Tim in, because otherwise we'll run out of time. Tim Prater, you proposed this second question on the poll. I mean, do you accept that it's not very clear?
It's a 38-page strategy, and I thought it deserved more than just focusing on one area, because the strategy focuses on lots of different areas. So it's important that we talk about where the first question talks about free parking, which I absolutely agree with. The second question is talking about things like free residence permits for people, making sure that it's free to have short-term car parking for local shops. It's important to have those there.
But you could have...
The difficulty that you've got with putting these questions is that you've only got one shot at it. You've only got one question. It would be much better to split in 2 or 3.
On that,
don't allow it.
On that basis, that you only get one shot at it, shouldn't you have really sat down and thought about simplifying the question? Because I say we took it out on the streets yesterday, and most people read it a couple of times and still didn't quite understand it.
We were trying to get across 2 or 3 points in order to deal with a 38-page strategy. A proper conversation, a proper referendum would allow you to ask a series of questions about that. It doesn't.
At the end of the day, this is a parish council referenda. No one's going to... There's no bindingness on it. I mean, basically, Shepway Council can do what they like, can't they?
I have to agree that I don't think the referendum was the right thing to call at this point. I would have gone through the consultation first, but after the Labour Party had called the referendums in Folkestone, Sandgate and Hythe, we thought it was best that we actually looked at the real questions which were there, because parking isn't free at the moment in Folkestone. Anybody who's using a Shepway car park, it's not free at the moment. Anybody who lives in Folkestone West and has to pay for a permit to park outside their house knows it's not free at the moment.
But the worry is
you're dealing with those issues.
The worry is you're trying to test the water, what the people feel about this. But if they don't understand the question, you're going to get all sorts. I mean, what I'm saying is a lot of people won't know what they're voting for.
I'm really hopeful that between 4 o'clock and 9 o'clock this evening across Folkestone, Sandgate and Hythe, people will go out and will vote for no for question 1 and yes for question 2.
OK, all right, Tim, thank you very much indeed. And Peter Wallace, we'll bring you the results of the referenda, because there's 3 of them. There's 3 of them going on. So we'll bring you the results of those referenda tomorrow on the programme, whether it's a yes or a no to whatever. You know, who knows? There we are.
Just during the course of the interview, I couldn't work out whether he wanted the answer to be yes or no to that second question, because I wasn't quite sure. Is he saying put yes if you agree and no if you disagree?
Oh, don't complicate it, Matt, for heaven's sake.